4, 5, 6. Now we are set and ready to go, or just about at least. The Fort Lee Bridgemen have taken the field. You are watching the stream live on YouTube on the Fort Lee Athletics page here at the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex. We are just about ready to get underway. Fort Lee Bridgemen boys soccer on deck. The Bridgemen of Fort Lee will be taking on the Cardinals of Westwood here in the first round of the Bergen Cup tournament. Very, very confusing, but all you need to know is that there are 3 tournaments. This is the invitational round of the second tournament out of 3, the Bergen Cup. So the idea is to go up to the Jerry Lewis tournament and avoid the Bergen Invitational or BIT tournament. The loser of this game will drop down to the BIT tournament, and the winner of this game will advance to technically the second round of the Bergen Cup. And that will be against the loser. Again, the winner of this game plays the loser of Glen Rock and Waldwick. The Bergen Cup is a 24-team tournament. Fort Lee is ranked number 11 out of those 24 teams. Bergen Catholic, my alma mater, is the top-ranked team. Fort Lee ranked 11th, and Westwood is ranked 22nd out of 24. Fort Lee will be wearing their black kits, black with gray striping and orange numbering and lettering. And for Westwood, they will be wearing white with either navy or black numbering and lettering. Little basic road kit for Westwood. This is obviously not a divisional match. Fort Lee is 2-1 in division. They are currently in second place in the Big North American Division, second place out of 5 teams, a half game behind Cliffside Park. Cliffside Park 3-1, Fort Lee 2-1, and then also a half game ahead of 2-2 Dwight Morrow. Overall, Fort Lee is 3-4-1. Westwood is 1-4-1 overall. Westwood is coming off a 1-0 loss 2 days ago to Paramus Catholic, and actually it's been a rough go of it for the Cardinals. They have not scored a goal in their last 4 matches. That's right, their last 4 matches, they have scored precisely 0 goals in all of them. So they're going to try to turn that around. Fort Lee, meanwhile, is also coming off of a loss, but not 3 in a row. Not 4 in a row for Westwood. A tie, and then they've lost their last 3 games. Again, 1-4-1 on the season. Fort Lee is 3-4-1 on the season. They are coming off a loss at Paramus 2 days ago. That was a 4-2 loss. Fort Lee has been better at home this year, 2-1-1, and just 1-3 on the road. So hosting the play-in round of the BC tournament here, the Bergen Cup. Both teams are on the field. 40 minutes are on the clock. We are just about ready to get underway. We might be waiting on an official here. Last year, Fort Lee went 8-9-2, but 5-3 in division. Westwood also had a solid year. They went 10-7-1 overall and 5-4-1 in division last year, the division for them being the Big North Patriot division. However, this year, a much different story for the Cardinals. They are 1-4-1 overall and 0-2-1 in division. They are in second to last place, 5th out of 6 teams in their division. and they are 0-2-1 on the road. The Cardinals have been outscored 12-4 this year. Their first match of the year was a 3-1 win against Dumont. Since then, they have gone 0-4-1, and they have scored precisely 1 goal in those 5 matches. Fort Lee has been outscored 16-12 on the season. They've had a lot more luck finding the back of the net. Outside of a 7-3 loss at Tenafly back on September 23rd, things have been much more even. Actually, if you take that match out, then Fort Lee has an even goal differential. So it's a little after 4:30. We are just about set to be underway. I will hop back on the mic when we're ready to get going. Don't go anywhere. All right, so it is not the end of the first half. We are just about ready for the beginning of the first half. The second referee has arrived. There was probably another game that went later than expected, so this one will start later than expected. But about 35, 40 minutes after the scheduled start time of this Bergen Cup play-in match between the Fort Lee Bridgemen and the Westwood Cardinals, we're about ready to actually get underway. Again, Westwood wearing their white kits with black numbering and lettering. It says Cardinals on the back of their jerseys. And Fort Lee rocking their sleek home blacks with gray stripes and orange numbering and lettering. It will be Fort Lee starting things off, specifically number 11, Marcus Lee, and we are underway. Ilya Alkin is the goalkeeper for Fort Lee this afternoon/early evening. The other starters for the Bridgemen: number 2, Samuel Choi; number 3, Kenta Watanabe; number 6, Grant Kang; number 7, Zamil Vagapov; number 8, Landon Kaplan, who scored both goals for Fort Lee in the game I did earlier this year; number 10, Kato Shinoda; number 12, Ben Kang; number 14, Michael Conte; and number 26, Naoki Dartley, along with the aforementioned Marcus Lee. Ilias Alkin wearing all gray, as opposed to the rest of his team wearing black, gray, and orange. The Westwood keeper is clad in red, like a cardinal. About a minute and a half gone by here in the play-in match of the Bergen Cup. The winner advances to the higher tournament and will play the loser of Glenrock and Waldwick. I believe Glenrock and Waldwick also playing today. Meanwhile, the loser of this one will drop down to the BIT, the Bergen Invitational Tournament, the third of 3 tournaments. 24 teams battling for seeding in these 3 tournaments. Of these 24 teams, Westwood is seeded 22nd, and Fort Lee is ranked 11th out of 24. So in the top half. This is Landon Kaplan fighting for it now, getting the pass off, and Dartley trying to use some fancy footwork, battling with number 21, Bennett Hyde. Hyde leads Westwood with 2 assists. I mentioned in the open, Westwood does not have a particularly good offense. They've been outscored 12-4 this year, and they have not scored a goal since September 14th. That was in a 2-1 loss at Waldwick, funny enough. And that was over 2 weeks ago. This is Ben Kang chasing after it. But the ball goes out of play, and so Westwood will take over. Westwood has lost 3 in a row. They are 1-4-1 on the season and 0-2-1 in the Big North Patriot Division. Fort Lee is 2-1 in the Big North American Division, in second place out of 5 teams. Opportunity here for Westwood. Fort Lee 2-1 in division, 3-4-1 overall is Demba Main's squad. And they have been outscored this year 16-12, but if you take away their 7-3 loss to Tenafly, then their goal differential is plus minus 0. Each team lost last year in the first round of the NJSIAA tournament. Fort Lee to Montville, Westwood to Elmwood Park. Fort Lee having a similar season to the one they did last year, playing about 500 ball. And Westwood struggling after going 10-7-1 last year, 1-4-1 this year, and 0-4-1 in their last 5. Fort Lee will take over as Landon Kaplan has a little hitch in his giddy-up. Battling now with Hashim Kenyi, number 10, for Westwood. Dartley after it, couldn't get there. Five minutes gone by here in the first half. Again, we started not at 4:30 like we were supposed to, but at about 5:08 or so. Not because of the weather, even though it is a little chilly today. It hasn't rained all afternoon, so we should have decent enough soccer weather. I'm sure the players will not be cold. We are going to have a corner kick for the Bridgemen, their first of the day. Sent on towards net, over everyone's head, and that one is kicked way over everything and off the pitch. About 6 minutes gone by. 0-0 between Westwood and Fort Lee. No shots for either team. Fort Lee trying to make something happen. That was Kato Shinoda. He lost it, and now Westwood will take over. This is Andrew Rodriguez passing it along as the Cardinals try to make something happen. Couple Bridgemen battling for it. Westwood controls. That was Braulio Avila sending it on to Kenyi. Now this is number 6, Josh Roy, to number 5, Greg Seiler. Or Seiler. Sent towards net. That's a pretty good pass to Alan Contreras, who has one of Westwood's 4 goals this year, but Contreras was ruled offsides. He got behind Kento Watanabe, who sends it along, trying to find Dartley. Now it's Vagapov for the Bridgemen. Vagapov is sent along his way, trying to make something happen. He looks for Marcus Lee. Now here's Lee with some space to Dartley. A pass back. Shot and save. That was Kato Shinoda putting a good leg on it, but a solid save by the goalkeeper for Fort Lee. That's P.J. Schmidt, the senior. First shot of the game belongs to Kato Shinoda and the Bridgemen. They also have the only corner kick of the game, about 9 minutes into this one. Chasing after it now is Braulio Avila of Westwood. It is sent the other way and knocked out of play. So Fort Lee will take over and try to make something happen. Sent into Dartley. Kaplan, back to Dartley. Looking to make something happen. Dartley with a pass. He gets it back. Tripped up. No call. Shot on net and another save. That was off the foot of Shinoda. Now this is Marcus Lee after it. Lee trying to get a step on his man. Dumps it back to Shinoda. Little two-man action. Now they find Dartley. Dartley goes down. No whistle, but Fort Lee will maintain. Chasing after it right now is Josh Roy. He's not going to get there. It goes all the way back to Ilias Alkin. Now the Bridgemen back on their way. Kaplan was looking for a man who was slightly out of bounds. More than 10 minutes gone by here in the opening quarter. Again, this game started roughly 35 minutes late. So if you're just tuning in, you haven't missed much. 2 shots on goal for Fort Lee. They have both been saved by P.J. Schmidt. Now this ball rolls all the way to Alkin. And Contreras was unable to get there in time. Still no official saves for Alkin. Kicks that one out of harm's way. Braulio Avila was bearing down on him. Ball thrown in. They were looking for Lee. Didn't get it to him. Westwood taking over. That pass is headed out of harm's way. And now it's Shinoda passing it back to one of his defenders. Now it's Kenyi of Westwood. Looking for a man. That's Andrew Rodriguez. They both have 1 assist this year. Kenyi winds up with it, and he sends it back to Tristan Ferreira, number 12. To Rodriguez, who battles with a man. Westwood maintaining, but not really going in the right direction. Slide tackle there by Vagapov, and he's going to get whistled for it. This is Ferreira, pass intercepted by Vagapov, and now Fort Lee will try to go the other way. Kato Shinoda. Ball winds up out. Out off of who? Out off of Fort Lee. Thrown in. It gets to Roy. Roy looking for a man. It eventually gets to him, but now Fort Lee takes over. Shinoda passing it on. I believe this is Ben Kang. Now Dartley gets knocked down, and we get a whistle. Little more than 13 minutes gone by here in the first half. 0-0 as Fort Lee has all the shots on goal. They have all the shots, period. Player on Westwood had to tie his shoes. That was Andrew Rodriguez. Does a little high five with Dartley. No malintent there. And we're back underway. And Westwood will take over, trying to make something happen. Ball to be thrown in, I believe, by Seiler. Intercepted, but Westwood will maintain. Sent ahead. Looking for Contreras. Now Contreras battling with a defender. That's Vagapov. Vagapov looking for a man. Couldn't get it to him. Now Ferreira's pass is intercepted. Fort Lee going to once again try to go the other way. This is Lee with it. Marcus Lee to Vagapov in the middle of the pitch. And that is a very easy save for PJ Schmidt. Third save for the Westwood keeper, who has been sharp today. That was easily his least difficult save of the evening. Bad pass. Fort Lee will go the other way with it. It's Kaplan for Dartley. Back to Kaplan. Knocked off his foot, but Lee maintains, and now Dartley has it again. Dartley trying to split defenders. He fails, and it's going to get sent back. And Michael Conte, number 14, will let it go all the way to his goalkeeper, Elias Alkin. Alkin sends it to one defender, now to another. Josh Roy being a thorn in the side of the Fort Lee defenders. But they get the ball up and out of bounds. Westwood ball. Braulio Avila passes back to Ferreira, who gets it on to Kenyi. Westwood doing a decent job of holding on to the ball, but not really getting anything going. They still don't have a shot. Contreras trying to change that. Pass to the middle, headed out of there. And now trying to send it the other way is Ben Kang. Kang getting a pick from Dartley. Now Dartley gets a pass. Dartley battling Dylan Francis, number 13 for Westwood. Dartley, Francis got a piece of that one. Ball sent out of play, and Westwood will once again take over. I believe that was Shinoda who was expecting Vagapov to go one way, and he went the other way. Now this is Avila with it. Conte defending him. Contreras to Kenyi. Tries to get by his man. He does, but no one has it. Shot sent towards net and right into the hands of Alkin. First save of the day for Elias Alkin. The goalkeeper is number 0 officially. PJ Schmidt is number 1 for the Cardinals. Now here's Kenyi with it, looking for Contreras. Contreras trying to make his man miss. Nice play there by Conte. Contreras maintains. Now finds Ferreira. Now Fort Lee going to try to make something happen. Getting it with a head of steam is Marcus Lee. Lee, defended by Andrew Hernandez, sends it back to Vagapov. Vagapov, defended by Kenyi, sends it back to Kaplan. Kaplan with the left foot close, really close, but not close enough, just wide left on that shot attempt. A couple substitutions will be made by Demba Main. Vagapov comes off in favor of number 16, Luis Rodriguez. That went out of play off of who? Off of Fort Lee. So Westwood ball again. They throw it in to Braulio Avila, battling multiple bridgemen. Conte trying to get it out of there. Still trying to get it out of there. and he finds Watanabe. Or rather, Rodriguez. Contreras gets around Watanabe, gets a pass off, and kicking it out of the danger area is a member of Fort Lee. Hernandez unable to keep that one on his foot, so now Fort Lee will take over. It will be Watanabe throwing in. He was looking for Lee, didn't find him, but he'll get to throw it in again. The sophomore, Kento Watanabe, gets it in, now headed along by Hyde, and Westwood is trying to make something happen. Pretty good defense right there by Choi for Fort Lee. And now Fort Lee trying to take it the other way. That ball should remain in Fort Lee's possession. We are just more than halfway through this first half. 3 shots on goal for the Bridgemen, 1 for the Cardinals, and we are locked in a 0-0 battle. A Bridgeman battling with Andrew Hernandez, and Hernandez will send it back to his goalkeeper. P.J. Schmidt trying to send Contreras on his way. Contreras looking for a man, finds a Bridgeman. That's not what he wanted to do. A Bridgeman was unable to maintain possession, knocked down number 8, Steven Garcia, and Westwood comes away with it. Conte kicking the ball out of harm's way, but Ferreira is right there for the Cardinals to send it back. Now it's Hyde battling multiple Bridgemen, including Conte. Winds up on Contreras' foot. Now Kenyi. Seiler, but his pass winds up with the Bridgeman. That pass doesn't get to Lee, and so Westwood still controlling. Here is Watanabe, knocked down by Hernandez. Fort Lee will maintain, and it should be Watanabe throwing in. First, we're going to have a brief pause. No stoppage of the clock, but we have a substitution. Marcus Lee comes off. And at the moment, I can't see who replaced him. Watanabe to trigger in. This is Dartley with it. Dartley through multiple defenders to Kaplan. And Kaplan right to P.J. Schmidt. 4th save of the game for Schmidt. This is Bennett Hyde with it. Good job by a Fort Lee defender to stay with him. That pass intercepted by Watanabe. Watanabe looking for Rodriguez. It got past him, but Fort Lee maintains possession. Both players with 10 on their back hit the deck, and Kato Shinoda is whistled. Shinoda and Kenyi went down. Westwood will get it, only momentarily. Shinoda goes down again, gets that pass off to Dartley. Here's Dartley with it again. Dartley has Rodriguez to his right. He goes for the shot, and that is another fairly easy save for Schmidt. That one goes out of play as Watanabe and Contreras were battling for it. Westwood ball. Here is Braulio Avila. Not really sure if that was a pass or a shot, but either way, it was not particularly good. Another whistle as we have a substitution being made here by Demba Main. And now they're going to stop the clock with 16 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the first half. Game was scheduled to start at 4:30. It started at about 5:08 or so. We have 16:03 remaining in the first half, and it looks like Dartley might be having an issue for Fort Lee. He'll step off. I believe Vagapov just subbed in. And now the referees are going to discuss something. Both teams will head to their respective benches. Not much pace at all for this match. Lots of stoppages, and even when they've been playing, it's been a little bit of a choppy game, and neither team has really been able to get going. One corner kick for Fort Lee. 5 shots on goal, all saved by P.J. Schmidt. One save for Ilias Alkin. Looks like there's an issue with the field. Right around the 45-yard line of the football field. A player might have, thrown up or spit up a little bit. So they're going to take care of the field. I will step aside, but this should be taken care of shortly, so don't go anywhere. All right, we have had all kinds of problems today, but we continue on. The field has been taken care of, and we are just about ready to play the final 16 minutes and 3 seconds of this first half. 0-0 here between Fort Lee and Westwood here in the play-in game of the Bergen Cup. Loser gets knocked down to the Bergen Invitational Tournament. Winner goes on to the higher tournament and plays the loser of the Glen Rock Waldwick game. if you're wondering, Fort Lee has yet to play Waldwick or Glen Rock this year. A Westwood player was just sent off the field. And the player, number 4, Andrew Hernandez, who has scored one of Westwood's 4 goals this year, gets yellow carded. Ultimately, no harm, no foul for Westwood, minus the fact that they lose Hernandez. The senior has 1 goal on the year. The other goals for Westwood, 1 for Contreras and 2 for Nate Wong. Going down is number 11, Andrew Rodriguez, and Westwood will take over. Just over 15 minutes to play here in the first half. And it's going to be PJ Schmidt, the goalkeeper, getting his team started. And he sends it right to Kaplan of Fort Lee. The Bridgeman trying to go back the other way. Schmidt is back in net. Ball goes out of play, but Fort Lee will maintain. This is going to be a corner kick. Second of the evening for the Bridgeman. The kick is up, and it gets over the head of every single person on the pitch, and it will roll out of play untouched. Hernandez subbing back in for Westwood. Number 2, Ralph Carrebia comes off, and PJ Schmidt gets it to Ferreira, and now Hernandez has it right back in the middle of the action. Hernandez to Ferreira, who looks for Kenyi, gets past him, and Fort Lee takes over again. Luis Rodriguez to Kaplan. Kaplan sending Vagapov and Rodriguez on their way, but Rodriguez will lose the foot race to Hernandez. He'll throw in. No, he won't. Watanabe will. Watanabe with a very long pass. Vagapov, no one was able to maintain it there. Winds up with Conte, trying to get his team going. Shinoda almost made a beautiful pass, but I believe that was Rodriguez who couldn't corral it. Still all kinds of time left in this first half, more than 12 minutes to play. And then, of course, there's the entire second half. Schmidt. Some headers. Contreras trying to go the other way with it, but he can't. Conte intercepting that pass. Kaplan sending Vagapov on his way, but too much sauce on that pass, and it winds up with Schmidt. Schmidt looking for someone, but it didn't get to him. A Bridgeman was almost tripped up by Hernandez, who has to be careful with 1 yellow card already. And we are going to have our third corner kick for the Bridgeman. Last one was pretty unsuccessful. Ben Kang, number 12, getting in position. Corner kick is up. Headed away by Contreras. Fort Lee will maintain possession with under 11 minutes to play in the first half. Watanabe to trigger in. A whistle as a Cardinal and a Bridgman got locked up. Westwood will take over. Westwood has one shot on goal in the opening, basically 30 minutes of this match. Mentioned they have 4 goals on the year. They are 1-4-1, so that's 6 games they've played, and they've scored 4 goals. The time of possession battle is being won so far by Fort Lee, but neither team has found the back of the net. Seamus Foley will sub out. He will be replaced by, I believe that's number 6, Josh Roy. The senior replacing the sophomore, Foley. Now it's Andrew Rodriguez with it for the Cardinals. Passes it back. Almost gets it back, and now Fort Lee will take over. This is Kaplan. Almost losing it to Kenyi. Now they pass it ahead. It's a foot race. Schmidt was out of the net, but somehow the Bridgman was unable to corral it. Fort Lee still has it. Rodriguez, Kenyi kicks the ball onto the street. Westwood was in the danger area, but they held firm. It's not like they've been getting, well, they kind of have been getting blown out. 4-0, 4-0, 1-0 in their 3 consecutive losses. So only the last one was close. A corner kick. They keep it on the ground. And that trickery didn't really work out for Fort Lee. 4 corner kicks in this one, all of them belonging to the Bridgman. This is Andrew Rodriguez battling for it. Westwood maintains. They get it to Contreras behind the defense. He elects to pass rather than shoot, and they score! Bennett Hyde sliding, scoring. That's his first goal of the year to go along with his 2 assists. And less than a minute after almost giving up the first goal of the match, Westwood scores. That is the Cardinals' first goal since September 14th, 16 days ago, and the Cardinals lead it 1-0. On September 14th, Westwood lost to Waldwick 2-1. Now Fort Lee playing from behind, trying to come back. Second shot of the game for Westwood, and Bennett Hyde finds the back of the net. The junior has his first goal of the year. And now Demba Main will make a couple substitutions. Dartley returns to the pitch. And I believe Marcus Lee does as well. 7 minutes to play here in the first half. 1-0 in favor of Westwood. Here's Vagapov with it for Fort Lee, looking for Dartley. Dartley trying to send Lee on his way. And it's going to go out of play. Lee battling with Dylan Francis there. And we're going to have another corner kick. 5th of the first half for the Bridgemen. And it'll be Kaplan handling it. Kick is up. Headed out of there by a member of Westwood. Winds up back to Kaplan. Dartley had time to get a shot off. It got blocked. And who's going to take over here? The Bridgemen. Ball is triggered in. They were trying to send Ben Kang on his way, but Fort Lee does maintain. Conte. Vagapov. And Kenyi knocked down Kato Shinoda. The number 10s have been battling all evening long. Now it's Ferreira battling Vagapov. This game has started to get a little chippy, but that play is blown dead. It'll be Ferreira for Westwood. To Hernandez, playing with a yellow card. Looking for Braulio Avila, and it's going to get past everybody. Fort Lee will take over. No, they won't. Westwood will maintain and get their first corner kick of the evening. It's going to be taken by Hyde, the goal scorer for the Cardinals. A line drive knocked out of harm's way by Fort Lee, but only momentarily. This is Contreras with it to Ferreira. Ferreira looking for Hyde. He's got him. Now Hyde towards the back of the net. Four minutes to go here in the opening half. 1-0 Westwood. Ferreira looking for Kenyi. And Kenyi does wind up with it. He gets it to Rodriguez. Rodriguez to Avila. Back to Rodriguez. Chased by a couple members of Fort Lee. Battling with a couple members of Fort Lee. Conte. High in the air. Ball lands, not really controlled. Fort Lee trying to take over. And they cannot keep the ball on the pitch. Thrown in, and it gets by everybody, and now Fort Lee will take over. Since the goal, I wouldn't say it's been all Westwood, but Westwood has definitely had the better of the play since Bennett Hyde got them on the board. Their first goal in over 2 weeks. They send Marcus Lee on his way. Lee put a little too much on that one, just over the net. No chance for Schmidt. It was either going to go in or it was going to go over the net, and it went over. Good try for Marcus Lee. Or I lied. That was number 10, Kato Shinoda. As number 10 for Westwood, Hashim Kenyi subs out. Alex Avila, not to be confused with the former baseball player, steps onto the pitch. So Alex Avila, number 14, and Braulio Avila, number 9 for Westwood. This is Braulio Avila heading it towards Contreras. Contreras throwing it back in. No one really able to control here. Grant Kang trying to for Fort Lee, and Ben Kang had it, but the play was whistled dead. Under 2 minutes to play in the first half. This is Hernandez. Fort Lee trying unsuccessfully to take the ball away. Braulio Rodriguez, or Avila rather, looking for Contreras, but Contreras did not get good leg on it. Kind of popped it up in the air. Not really much of a threat. And with less than a minute to go here in the first half, Fort Lee takes over. Fort Lee has had most of the good chances today, but the goal scored by Bennett Hyde of Westwood. They lead this one 1-0. With half a minute to play in the half, that pass does not get to Marcus Lee, and the ball winds up out of play. It will be thrown in by Ben Kang. Under 20 seconds to play in the half. Remember, no stoppage time at the high school level. Ball goes out of play again, and that should pretty much be how the first half ends. Westwood had 2 shots on goal. Bennett Hydes found the back of the net, and after 40 minutes of play, it is 1-0 in favor of Westwood here in the play-in game of the Bergen Cup. It's been a good one. It's been a close one. Don't go anywhere. In about 10 minutes, we will be back for the second half here at the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex. Tommy Aquilina back here with you on the YouTube stream on the Fort Lee Athletics page. This is Fort Lee Boys Varsity Soccer, and it is the play-in game of the Bergen Cup. Demba Main's Fort Lee Bridgman trailing the Westwood Cardinals 1-0 after 40 minutes of play. 40 minutes left, assuming, of course, it doesn't go into overtime. Fort Lee started the match off with possession, so Westwood will have it now as we are just about ready to get underway. It has been a long and banner day here for Fort Lee Athletics. The volleyball team won both of their matches earlier today, defeating Rutherford and then Emerson Borough. And the Fort Lee football team came away with a huge victory. Yesterday's game was postponed, set for today, and Fort Lee defeated Ferris by a final score of 50-8. And the game wasn't even that close. It was 42-0 at halftime. This one only 1-0 at halftime. Fort Lee trying to get on the board and knot this one up. Westwood has lost 3 in a row, 0-4-1 in their last 5. They scored 1 goal in those 5 matches, so this has been an offensive explosion for them. Fort Lee, meanwhile, coming off a loss to Paramus. They are 3-4-1 on the season, but hoping to advance to play the loser of the Glenrock-Waldwick game. This is Vagapov. He finds Dartley. Dartley has a man. That was Grant Kang. Now Dartley goes down. And what do we have here? Fort Lee ball. Dartley will fix his uniform. Now makes a pass. They go for the bicycle kick. They don't get it. Now a shot from Shinoda right to P.J. Schmidt, the Westwood goalkeeper. P.J. Schmidt had a good first half, 5 for 5 in saves. Now he's 6 for 6. Westwood taking it the other way for the first time in the second half. They find Kenyi. He is stonewalled by multiple Bridgmen. And now Fort Lee trying to take it the other way. This is Andrew Rodriguez with it. He loses it. Dartley to Shinoda. And Shinoda and the Bridgmen going to try to make something happen as they trail here in the play-in game of the Bergen Cup. That one goes all the way to Ilias Alkin. He will handle it with ease and try to get his team going. 37.5 minutes left for Fort Lee to try to knot this one up. Good slide tackle there by a member of Fort Lee. Fort Lee will, in fact, maintain possession, and they still will. Someone on Westwood thought there was a handball. Not called. This is Dartley. Naoki Dartley over the net. Five shots on goal in that first half for Fort Lee. Only 2 for Westwood, but that was enough for Bennett Hyde to score his first goal of the season. Hyde, the junior, now with 1 goal and 2 assists on the year for the Cardinals. A team that has now scored 5 goals in 6.5 games on the year. 4 minutes gone by here in the second half. One shot on net for Fort Lee, but that's it. Chasing after it now is Andrew Rodriguez, battling with Conte, and it winds up out of play. It'll be Fort Lee ball, and the Bridgemen will once again try to make something happen as they trail by 1. Must have felt so gratifying for Westwood. You keep plugging along, and after over 2 weeks of not scoring a goal, they find the back of the net and don't allow a goal, taking a 1-0 lead into halftime. Now trying to advance in this tournament. Fort Lee, meanwhile, trying to tie this game. Ben Kang, and Vagapov comes in and knees the ball out of play. Excuse me, that was number 6, Grant Kang. Getting it off to Vagapov, who then sent it out of play. Now it will be Greg Seiler. Or no, it's going to be the goalkeeper, PJ Schmidt, for Westwood. Headed along, but now headed the other way by Fort Lee. This is Shinoda with it, battling with Hyde. Sent out of play, and the Cardinals will take over. Westwood 10-7-1 last year. They have not had as good of a go of it this time around. 1-4-1. 0-2-1 in division. Fort Lee player went down, wanted a call, and he is going to get it. Fort Lee trying to knot this one up at 1. More than 6 minutes gone by already in the second half. That one is headed out of harm's way. I believe that was Andrew Rodriguez getting in there. Actually might have been Dylan Francis, number 13. It went off of Francis, though, so it will result in a Fort Lee corner kick. This is their 6th of the evening. The kick is up. And jumping over everybody is PJ Schmidt. I don't think that counts as a save. Conte met Josh Roy. Out of play, off Conte. Now here's Seiler. He finds Rodriguez. Looking for Braulio Avila. And now Roy and Conte get mixed up. It'll be Fort Lee ball. Rodriguez could not keep it in, so it's going to be triggered in by Grant Kang. And we have a whistle here. The referee doesn't want to hear any more complaining about a call or a non-call from Josh Roy. Hyde getting clarification for his team. It's going to be Grant Kang kicking it in for the Bridgemen. To Samuel Choi. Back to Kang. And back to Choi. And back to Kang. Kang gets around Francis. Finds Shinoda. Looking for a man. He's got him. Pass up the sideline, but once again, the ball goes out of play. Westwood takes over. Or they will. Ball headed out by a member of the Bridgemen. It will maintain, or Westwood will maintain possession, rather. They were looking for Braulio Avila. Westwood had it. Now it's Shinoda with it. Looking for a man. He sends it back to Choi. And that pass went right to Seiler. Westwood takes over again. Pass for Rodriguez. It's broken up. But Rodriguez does wind up with it, gets it through the legs of a defender, and his shot is going to go wide right of the net. Just about a half hour left in this second half. A little more than 30 minutes. Fort Lee trails 1-0. Shinoda back to Conte, who sends Kaplan on his way. Fort Lee with good passing here. Grant Kang to Dartley, and Dartley is met by Kenyi, who forces the ball out. Dartley throws it in for Vagapov. It looked like he got his arm pulled. No call. Fort Lee will lose possession. I think Vagapov might have had a chance to get to that one if he hadn't been lightly pulled backwards. But the referees didn't see it that way. Fort Lee does maintain possession. Dartley to Vagapov. Can't get it back to Dartley. Will Fort Lee maintain? Yes, they will. Samuel Choi for Vagapov. For Dartley. Dartley trying to make some space. Passes out of it. Looking for Vagapov. Vagapov goes down. No call. He was being defended by Francis. This is Contreras with it, getting the ball out of harm's way and sending his teammate Roy on his way. But the ball goes out of play and Fort Lee will take over. Even in the first half, Fort Lee definitely won the time of possession battle. They had more chances, more shots on goal. Didn't find the back of the net. Fort Lee has it now. That shot is a little wide. And I think they're going to say the shot was tipped by a member of the Cardinals. I believe that was Watanabe in the middle of the action for Fort Lee. And I think it's also Watanabe who's going to take this corner kick. No, it's Kaplan, number 8. And Kaplan's shot goes right into the hands of P.J. Schmidt. Conte could not break up that pass. Now there's one Bridgman for Roy to beat, and he is unable to beat him. Nicely done right there by Watanabe. He might have prevented a goal. Conte, once again, knocking the ball out of harm's way, but we have a yellow card that has been assessed. And again, it's a member of Westwood getting it. It's Andrew Rodriguez. So he will come off as yellow cards have now been assessed to Andrew Hernandez and Andrew Rodriguez. Rodriguez will be replaced by number 8, Steven Garcia. Just over 27 minutes to play here in the second half. Fort Lee looking for the equalizer. They have more shots on goal. They have more corner kicks. They haven't committed a penalty, but they have also not found the back of the net. Shinoda with it now, and the man he was looking for lost his edge, Ball goes out of play, and Westwood will take back over. Contreras sheds his man, gets it back from Kenyi, but loses it. Fort Lee has it now. And the ball does wind up out of play. That was Tristan Ferreira defending for the Cardinals. And now we're going to have another substitution. Kenyi has been in the middle of a lot of the action today, so he will sit and be replaced by number 14, Alex Avila. Conta trying to send Grant Kang on his way. Choi almost had it, but went down and lost it. Now that pass is intercepted by a member of Fort Lee, and it will be Dartley with it. He's got Kang to his right. He's got Vagapov in front of him. Doesn't have the ball any longer. Shinoda fighting for it. Play whistled dead, and Westwood will take over. Good work there by Garcia, just into the game. Now they look for Garcia, but can't get it to him. Under 25 minutes to play here in the second half. 1-0 Westwood. Dartley will sit in favor of Luis Rodriguez. And now here is Rodriguez with it. He loses it to Hyde. Hyde passes it right to Choi, gets it back, and that was an accidental slide tackle for Choi. Didn't mean to take Bennett down, but he did. So Choi is assessed a yellow card, and he will have to come off. First yellow card issued to Fort Lee. 2 have been handed out to Westwood. 24 minutes and 9 seconds on the clock. Andrew Rodriguez is back for Westwood. Garcia will sit. And now Hyde. Right to Alkin, and with a player in his face, Alkin handles it. Very calm, no nonsense for Ilias Alkin. He did allow the goal that has Fort Lee trailing, however. The Bridgeman looking for the equalizer. Here's Vagapov. Doesn't quite get a shot to get a shot off. Hyde knocked it away. It'll get thrown in again by a Bridgeman. Sky starting to change colors a little bit as we approach 6:30 p.m. That shot goes off of Andrew Rodriguez's hand, so Grant Kang and Fort Lee will get to set themselves up a little bit. Almost taken the other way by Contreras. Fort Lee maintains. And Fort Lee loses it out of play. That throw might have slipped out of Ferreira's hand, kind of popped up in the air. Braulio Avila after it. He will trigger in for Contreras, who immediately loses it. Fort Lee, and Rodriguez is tripped up, and so they will get Francis with a yellow card. He'll come off in favor of Ralph Correbia. Third yellow card handed out to Westwood, one each to Hernandez, Rodriguez, and now Francis. Also one given out to Samuel Choi of Fort Lee. And now Demba Main is trying to get Choi back on. I believe that was number 13, Aaron Leung, who was on in place of Choi, but it might have been 18, Mateja Rapake. Here is Shinoda, number 10 with it. Looking for Dartley. He's got Dartley. Dartley passes it off, doesn't get it back, and now Rodriguez will not take over. Fort Lee maintains. Dartley had it ever so briefly. Shot attempt. Blocked away. Conte with it now. He almost loses it. Fort Lee maintains. And now Westwood will have it. Francis and Correbia will switch spots. Thrown in for Braulio Avila. Now Rodriguez with it. Sends it towards net, and Ilias Alkin will be able to handle that easily. 19 minutes gone by here in the second half. Like the first half, it has largely been quiet with brief spurts of action. In terms of shots on goal, Fort Lee is out shooting Westwood 6-2. Westwood does not have a shot here in the second half, but they do have the lead. Vagapov bearing down, or breathing down, the throat of PJ Schmidt, but he handles. Now Schmidt playing a little cat and mouse game with Vagapov. Shinoda with the bicycle kick, and Fort Lee will go the other way. Ferreira battling with Kaplan. Dartley takes it nicely. Kaplan has it now. Looking for Vagapov. Doesn't quite get it to him. We are more than 75% through this one. We played the entire first half, and we are more than halfway through the second half. Fort Lee cannot keep the ball on the pitch, so Westwood will take over. They throw in for Roy. Josh Roy loses it. Alex Avila hit the deck there. Ball goes out of play, but Fort Lee maintains. Shot sent towards net, and PJ Schmidt is able to make the save with two hands. Had to leave his feet, but Schmidt has his 7th save of the evening. 2 shots now in the second half for Fort Lee. They still have not found the back of the net. The Bridgemen are coming off a 4-2 loss at Paramus back on Thursday. Trying to knot this one up at 1 and advance to take on the loser of the Glenrock-Waldwick game. Multiple players on both teams battling for it, and it will be Westwood ball. Rodriguez to trigger in. No, I lied. Seiler to trigger in. And it is immediately headed out of play by Grant Kang. Seiler throws back in. He has Ferreira. Taken away by Grant Kang. Now back to Kang. Right before Dartley could get there, Francis knocked it out of harm's way. Fort Lee will maintain. Dartley tried some fancy footwork. He lost it. Rodriguez and the Cardinals have a 3-on-2. Oh, really nice defensive play by Conta. He absolutely stood Rodriguez up, and Fort Lee will send it the other way. Nice work there by Conta. Still Fort Lee ball, and they do still have plenty of time, more than 17 minutes, in fact, to try to knot this one up. Fort Lee trying to even their record out on the year. They are 3-4-1. And now a Cardinal has hit the deck and is a little slow to get up. That's Hernandez. Hernandez is on his feet. They are not going to stop the clock or make Hernandez come out of the match. Fort Lee to trigger in. It'll still be Fort Lee ball. And now Westwood's going to come up with this one. This is Braulio Avila. Ball winds up out of play. Fort Lee will take back over. Having a hard time getting it in. Ball kicked out of play by a member of Fort Lee. So Westwood will take over rather as they try to protect their 1-goal advantage. Game slowing down a little bit here as we approach the 15-minute mark of the second half. Westwood, the 22nd ranked team out of the 24 teams in the various Bergen tournaments. Fort Lee ranked 11th out of 24. So this has not gone the way that experts might have expected. 1-0 in favor of Westwood on a goal by Bennett Hyde. Now we have a Bridgman chasing after it. The shot on net is a little high and a little wide. Westwood to trigger in. This is Hyde with it. Ball sent all the way to Conte, who will give it to Alkin, and Fort Lee will get started again. Hyde looking for Rodriguez. He has Rodriguez. Rodriguez looking for Seiler. Pass is cut off. Fort Lee unable to get it to Dartley, but they do maintain possession. This is Shinoda to trigger in for Dartley. Dartley battling with a couple Cardinals. Very dangerous play right there, but between Conta and Alkin, they avoid trouble. Ball goes out of play and will belong to Fort Lee. I believe this is Josh Roy with it now. Finding Contreras. Defended by Conta. Here's Rodriguez right in front of the net, and the save is made by Alkin. First shot of the second half. It was a good one, good opportunity for Westwood, but the save is made by Alkin. That's his second of the day. Here's Rodriguez with it again. A little bit of a shove, no call. And it will remain Westwood ball as we approach the 11-minute mark of the second half. A corner kick for Westwood, their second of the evening. Nothing comes of it. Fort Lee is starting to run out of time, though. Conte to the middle of the pitch. Looking for number 9, Daniel Lee. Now it's Vagapov. Now it's Lee chasing after it, and Francis just knocks the ball out of play, making sure nothing crazy happens. So we're going to have another corner kick, and this one will belong to Fort Lee. It is their 7th corner kick of the evening, with about 10 minutes to go in the second half. The kick is up. It gets headed like right into the ground. Vagapov looking for it, can't get a foot on it, and now it's taken the other way by 2 Cardinals. This is Roy with it. Roy caught up to by a bridgeman, and he is going to get whistled. Are they going to give Grant Kang a yellow card? No, they are not going to give him a yellow card, but they do whistle the play dead. And Contreras came flying in for the shot there. That was a bad shot that went wide, but Grant Kang is still upset that he got called for a slide tackle. Nine minutes remaining, a little more than 9 minutes remaining in the second half. And we have another whistle. Last 6 minutes or so of the game, things have kind of slowed down a little bit. Fort Lee needs things to pick back up again. Kenyi doesn't quite get a shot off. Fort Lee takes it the other way. Hyde got in there and disrupted that. Now it's Shinoda with it. Shinoda splitting 2 defenders, and Hyde takes it away from him. Nice play there by Bennett Hyde. Kang to trigger in. Almost loses it. And now Roy and the Cardinals do take over. Conte flying in, flying past Kenyi, getting a pass off to Shinoda. Kato Shinoda gets another pass off, and the shot goes a little wide. Schmidt left the net, and the shot went a little wide, a little to the left of goal. Under 8 minutes to play. Westwood trying to take it the other way, and they will maintain possession. Westwood triggers back in. This is Steven Garcia after it. Garcia towards the net. It is handled by Alkin. Third save of the game for Ilias Alkin. Keeps it a one-goal affair. Now Fort Lee taking it the other way. And the ball goes out of play. Fort Lee maintaining possession. And about to lose possession. Ball being headed around. Kenyi looking for Rodriguez, but the ball goes out of play. So with under 6 minutes to go, Fort Lee takes back over. Grant Kang. I think that ball might have slipped out of his hands a little bit. Kang looking for Choi, goes past him. Ball goes out of play again, and this time it'll belong to Westwood. Conte has it now, and his pass is intercepted by Kenyi. Kenyi looking for Rodriguez. Rodriguez is past the defense, looking for a man, and that shot goes over the net. Good try by Garcia, but a little too much on that shot, and it goes over the net and lands safely out of harm's way for the Bridgemen. Ilias Alkin to get his team started again with under 5 minutes to play. Here is Hyde. Hyde loses his edge, takes Vagapov down with him. This is Kang fighting for it now. Vagapov losing the battle to Rodriguez. Rodriguez gets a pass off. Shot knocked out of there. Well, not really a shot, but either way, no goal. Now Rodriguez, and that is handled by Alkin. Give Alkin a save on that one as well. Definitely his easiest of the afternoon, of the evening, really. Conte can't get it out of there. Braulio of Vila, but Ilias Alkin winds up with it again. Alkin was looking for Daniel Lee there. Fort Lee does maintain possession, but that pass is too far out of the reach of Vagapov. They will blow a whistle and stop the clock with 3:53 remaining in the second half. Seiler to trigger in. And he gives it right to Fort Lee. This is their chance. Shinoda loses it to Garcia ever so briefly. I believe that was Ben Kang. Ball winds up in the air. P.J. Schmidt handles it after the header attempt. Westwood is really taking their time here. We've hit the 3-minute mark. Rodriguez heads it to himself. And we have another whistle. It'll be Fort Lee coming away with it. They have 2.5 minutes to make something happen here. Ball goes all the way back to Schmidt. And he waits to pick it up until there was a bridgeman literally ready to kick the ball out of his hands. Smart play there by Schmidt. And Westwood continuing to take their time as they hold the 1-0 advantage. Fort Lee trying to go the other way with it now. Under 2 minutes to play. Now Westwood taking it the other way. This is Roy with it. Finds Hyde. Kenyi to Seiler. Battling for it. Seiler and Choi. Ball goes out of play. And Rodriguez will trigger in. But first we have a clock stoppage. Minute 32 remaining here in the second half. It'll actually be Seiler triggering in for the Cardinals. Back underway, and we have less than 90 seconds remaining in the second half. Seiler looking for Kenyi. It was headed, I believe, by a bridgeman, and Alkin handles it. One minute to play. Grant Kang for Marcus Lee. His pass is almost intercepted by Contreras. It does go out of play, and Fort Lee is running out of time. Less than 45 seconds to go. They throw it in, and Fort Lee maintains possession. They are going to have a chance here. 30 seconds to play. Ball winds up in no man's land, and now Rodriguez has it for the Cardinals, and they can pretty much just run the clock out. Conte trying to take it away from a man, and they stop the clock with 19 seconds. They're going to assess Conte a yellow card. Second one given out to the bridgeman, and Conte is basically done for the evening. Still 19 seconds to play. Bennett Hyde boots it. Alkin gets it. There's 11 seconds to play. Fort Lee has time for one last rush. They keep it in play. No, they don't keep it in play, and that's going to do it. After not scoring for 2 weeks, the Westwood Cardinals come to the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex, and they deliver a tough ending to a great day of athletics for Fort Lee High School. The final in the play-in tournament, or the play-in game of the Bergen Cup, is Westwood 1, Fort Lee 0. Once again, I'm Tommy Aquilina. Thank you so much for sticking around with us for this one today into tonight. I want to thank Athletic Director Michael Raftery, also Dimitri Nanas for all that he does. Thank you so much for listening along, and we will see you next time, everybody. So long.